Wrestling isn't just about what happens inside the ring, it's about everything that goes on when the cameras aren't rolling. For decades, some of the wildest betrayals in WWE history didn't come from steel chairs, sneak attacks, or shocking heel turns, but from something far more personal. Stolen wives, broken relationships, and real-life scandals that blurred the line between scripted entertainment and harsh reality. From Brock Lesnar snatching Sable away from Marc Mero, to Triple H's affair with Stephanie McMahon that shattered China's world, and even to locker room chaos sparked by John Cena and Mickie James, the WWE Universe has been rocked time and time again by controversies that had nothing to do with storylines. These weren't just rumors whispered in hallways, these were events that shattered friendships, destroyed careers, and changed the industry forever. It all started with a voicemail. Marc Mero thought he had it all: a wife, a career, and stability. But when he heard that message exposing the truth, everything fell apart. The woman he had shared his life with, Sable, was no longer his partner. She had grown closer to none other than the beast incarnate himself, Brock Lesnar. For Mero, the betrayal wasn't just heartbreaking, it was humiliating. Brock wasn't just any man. He was the most intimidating, dominant force in wrestling, a man whose presence shook the industry. For Sable, the choice was clear. By 2004, she walked away from Mero's life entirely, and only 2 years later, she and Brock were married. And unlike most wrestling couples who eventually collapse under the pressure, Brock and Sable took a different path. They stepped away from the chaos, moved to a farm in Canada, raised their children in peace, and left the drama behind. They found stability, happiness, and silence away from the bright lights of WWE. As for Marc Mero, he never turned bitter. The betrayal hurt, but he used it as a chance to grow, to rebuild his life, and to move forward. But the wrestling world wasn't done dishing out heartbreak. Because while Brock and Sable's story ended in long-term happiness, the next scandal would erupt into one of the most notorious affairs in WWE history. Matt Hardy and Lita weren't just a couple, they were the ultimate power duo of the late 90s and early 2000s. Together with Jeff Hardy, they were Team Extreme, icons of high-risk action and fan favorites everywhere they went. Their love story felt untouchable, until injury and betrayal tore it apart. In 2004, Matt Hardy's career came crashing down after a devastating knee injury forced him to step away for over a year. While he rehabbed at home, Lita was still on the road, still performing, and still traveling alongside Matt's close friend, Edge. That friendship soon evolved into something more. Edge, who was married at the time, and Lita, who was supposed to be devoted to Matt, became entangled in a relationship that shocked the wrestling world. Matt eventually discovered the truth, and he didn't stay quiet. He brought the drama to the public, airing out the betrayal online and in interviews, sparking a firestorm that WWE couldn't ignore. Instead of sympathy, Matt was punished for exposing reality. WWE fired him, hoping to silence the scandal, but the fans weren't having it. The backlash was immediate and overwhelming. The WWE Universe wanted Hardy back, and they wanted the truth played out on screen. So, WWE did what they do best. They turned reality into storyline. Matt Hardy returned, and his feud with Edge became one of the most personal, intense rivalries ever seen on television. Real hatred bled into their matches, every punch thrown carrying the weight of betrayal. Edge and Lita leaned into their new roles as WWE's most hated couple, and the controversy only propelled Edge to new heights. He became a villain so detested that it catapulted him into the main event scene, eventually making him a world champion. But behind the cameras, the pressure proved too much. By 2006, Edge and Lita split, ending their relationship after years of chaos. If Edge and Lita's betrayal felt like a soap opera turned violent, the next story blurred fiction and reality in a way no one expected. In WCW during the 1990s, Chris Benoit was given a storyline that would eventually destroy more than just kayfabe. Kevin Sullivan, both a wrestler and a booker, wrote a controversial angle. Benoit would have an on-screen affair with Sullivan's real-life wife, Nancy. It was supposed to be entertainment, but it became reality. Benoit and Nancy's on-screen relationship quickly turned into something deeper behind closed doors, and soon Nancy left Sullivan for Benoit. Wrestling fans joked that Sullivan had accidentally booked his own divorce, but for Nancy and Benoit, this was the start of a family. They married, they welcomed a son, and from the outside, it looked like a new beginning. But life behind the scenes was darker than fans realized. Benoit's obsessive, intense nature cast a shadow over their marriage. Nancy confided in friends that things weren't as perfect as they appeared, and in 2007, the wrestling world was shattered beyond comprehension. Benoit murdered Nancy and their son before taking his own life in a tragedy that remains one of the darkest chapters in the history of sports entertainment. What began as a scripted affair for television ended in unthinkable real-life horror, forever tainting Benoit's legacy and leaving fans and wrestlers alike grappling with the blurred lines between wrestling stories and reality. But if that affair felt like messy gossip, the next scandal took things to an entirely different level. Batista, one of WWE's most dominant stars of the 2000s, was married to his wife Angie during his rise to the top. But rumors soon spread that Batista had grown too close to Melina, a fiery WWE diva who was dating fellow wrestler John Morrison. Whispers of the affair spread quickly, fueling tension behind the scenes. For Morrison, it wasn't just personal heartbreak, it was professional humiliation. Melina's relationship with him crumbled, Batista's marriage fell apart, and the scandal became one of the most talked-about controversies in the locker room. Yet despite the personal chaos, Batista's career didn't skip a beat. He continued to dominate in the ring, headline shows, and build his legacy, leaving Morrison and Melina in the dust. The scandals just kept piling up, each one more explosive than the last. But if Batista's affair rocked the locker room, the next controversy involved WWE's golden boy, John Cena, and it would leave the entire roster buzzing with tension. John Cena was the face of WWE, the poster boy, the hero, the man who could do no wrong in the eyes of management. But even Cena wasn't immune to scandal. In 2008, his on-screen chemistry with Mickie James was undeniable, so much so that fans believed sparks were flying for real. What they didn't know was that those sparks weren't just scripted, they were reality. The problem? Both were already in serious relationships. Cena was engaged to his high school sweetheart, Elizabeth Huberdeau, while Mickie James was set to marry fellow WWE superstar, Kenny Dykstra. Behind the scenes, the attraction proved too strong to ignore. Cena and Mickey's relationship turned into a full-blown affair, and in a locker room as tight-knit as WWE's, secrets never stayed buried for long. But if Cena's scandal proved how much backstage politics could influence careers, the next tangled romance was almost poetic in its irony. AJ Lee was once a fangirl, crying as she met her idol Lita. That emotional meeting was captured on video and went viral, symbolizing the dream of a young girl inspired by a larger-than-life superstar. Years later, that same girl would find herself at the center of a love triangle with Lita and CM Punk. In the early 2010s, Punk and Lita were romantically linked, spotted together at events, and considered a serious couple. But soon after, Punk was suddenly with AJ Lee. The overlap was hard to ignore. WWE insiders whispered that Punk had grown close to AJ while still involved with Lita. Locker room gossip turned it into comedy, even spawning parody cartoons that mocked AJ's childhood moment with Lita and the irony of her later ending up with her idol's ex. Despite the jokes, Punk and AJ's relationship thrived. They tied the knot in 2014, becoming one of wrestling's most beloved couples outside the ring. While controversy surrounded their beginnings, their story was one of lasting happiness. Still, the betrayal left its mark. Lita faded from the drama. Punk and AJ lived their truth, and the wrestling world moved on, forever entertained by the bizarre overlap of fiction, reality, and fate. But if that love triangle was shocking, Hulk Hogan's scandals made every other story pale in comparison. Hogan wasn't just a wrestler, he was the wrestler, the face of WWE, the man who turned sports entertainment into a global phenomenon. Yet behind the red and yellow tights was a storm of drama that forever damaged his reputation. For years, Macho Man Randy Savage suspected Hogan of getting too close to his wife, Miss Elizabeth. Together, Savage and Hogan were the Mega Powers, a team that ruled the late 80s. But off-camera, Savage's paranoia grew. He kept Elizabeth close, protective to the point of obsession, but Hogan was the one man Savage couldn't shield her from. Rumors swirled that Hogan and Elizabeth shared more than friendship, rumors Savage hinted about until his dying days. Hogan denied it, claiming Savage's jealousy clouded his judgment. The truth remains a mystery, but the tension destroyed the Mega Powers both on screen and off. Hogan's personal life spiraled further years later when a secretly recorded tape surfaced in 2012. Hogan was filmed with Heather Clem, the wife of his then best friend, radio personality Bubba the Love Sponge. The bombshell wasn't just the affair, but that Bubba reportedly knew about it, some even claiming he orchestrated it. When the tape leaked, Hogan's world imploded. His image, once that of a hero to millions of kids, was shattered. The lawsuit that followed was just as shocking. Hogan sued the website that released the footage, and in 2016, he walked away with a staggering $140 million settlement, bankrupting Gawker in the process. The scandal severed his friendships, destroyed his reputation, and left him as one of the most polarizing figures in wrestling history. But Hogan wasn't the only legend whose personal life overshadowed his career. In the mid-90s, Shawn Michaels was the Heartbreak Kid, living his gimmick in every possible way. Charismatic, arrogant, and reckless, Michaels had the world at his feet. And with him often was Sunny, WWE's original diva. Blonde, glamorous, and wildly popular. Sunny was in a long-term relationship with Chris Candido, but rumors linked her to Shawn for years. Sunny later admitted their on-again, off-again fling lasted for years, filled with passion, jealousy, and chaos. While Michaels lived the rock star life, Sunny fell deeper into controversy, eventually spiraling out of control. By the late 90s, WWE cut ties with her, while Michaels would eventually find redemption. After years of wild living, he left, found faith, married Rebecca Kersey, and turned his life around. Sunny's story, however, went in the opposite direction. Legal troubles, arrests, and personal struggles plagued her for decades, culminating in a 2022 arrest for DUI manslaughter. The Heartbreak Kid may have found peace, but Sunny's story became one of wrestling's darkest tragedies. Not all scandals stayed locked in WWE. Some spilled into other promotions, like the explosive affair between Zachary Shane and Kim McDevitt, the wife of MCW's co-owner Dan McDevitt, better known as Corporal Punishment. When the truth came out, it tore the promotion apart. Both Shane and Kim left MCW, and Dan took time away, but the real fallout came in the ring. Their personal hatred became a storyline, leading to a brutal showdown at MCW's Holiday Homecoming in 2007, the same venue where Dan and Kim had once been married. It blurred the line between fiction and reality so completely that fans couldn't look away, proving once again that real drama often outshines scripted storylines. But one of the most painful scandals in WWE history belonged to Chyna, the ninth wonder of the world. She wasn't just a female wrestler, she was a trailblazer who redefined what women could do in the business. Standing alongside Triple H in D-Generation X, Chyna was powerful, groundbreaking, and beloved. Off-screen, she and Triple H were a real-life couple, their relationship strong and public. But everything changed when Stephanie McMahon entered the picture. Rumors began to spread that Triple H and Stephanie were more than just co-workers. And soon, China discovered the truth. She found a note from Stephanie hidden away in Triple H's belongings, proof of the affair that shattered her world. The fallout was brutal. China confronted Triple H, but by then, the relationship was over. WWE released her not long after, and the woman who had helped define an era was gone, replaced in every way by Stephanie McMahon. While Triple H married into the McMahon dynasty and secured his place at the top, China spiraled, her career derailed, and her personal life scarred. She spoke openly in later years about the betrayal, and fans never forgot the pain she endured. It remains one of WWE's most infamous love triangles, one that changed the trajectory of 3 lives forever. In the digital age, scandals took new forms. In 2015, Seth Rollins found himself exposed in ways no superstar had before. Explicit photos of Rollins and WWE NXT trainee Zara Schreiber were leaked online, not just revealing their affair, but embarrassing him on a global scale. At the time, Rollins was engaged to his longtime partner, Legla Schultz, who wasted no time calling off the engagement. Rollins and Zara carried on their relationship for a while, but controversy followed her too. Old social media posts with offensive imagery resurfaced, and WWE released her. For Rollins, it was humiliation played out for the entire world. Yet, like Batista before him, his career didn't crumble. He found stability with fellow superstar Becky Lynch, and today, they're married with a child. The scandal didn't end his career, but it showed just how quickly the internet could turn a private mistake into a public spectacle. But not every affair was ever confirmed. Some remained whispers, rumors that never fully died. Chris Jericho, the Ayatollah of rock and rolla, found himself at the center of speculation when a photo surfaced linking him to former WWE diva Kelly Kelly. The image suggested intimacy, possibly even a kiss, and fans immediately began to speculate. Jericho, married to Jessica Lockhart since 2000, never addressed it publicly, nor did Kelly. WWE stayed silent, and the rumor faded, never impacting Jericho's career. Still, the photo remains one of those pieces of wrestling gossip that fans never stopped debating. Was it real, taken out of context, or just a misunderstanding? The silence surrounding it only fueled the mystery. Behind the bright lights and the larger-than-life characters are real people, living real lives, with all the chaos, heartbreak, and scandal that come with it.